Today I'm joined by Dr. Chandrasekhar Sripada, who is a clinical professor with the Indian School of Business. Dr. Chandrasekhar has written a book, Shaping the Future of Work, which explains why and how firms and the government must rethink the conventional work organizational leadership practices in the country. So welcome to ETV Bharat, sir.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you for having me.
Sir, first of all, just wanted to understand from your side what's your take on the recent job things and all in the country, and what's the key trend shaping the job market in India right now, especially post-budget scenarios, sir?
Job market in India has seen an upswing. A lot of non-farm jobs are getting created as per government reports. And all the government's efforts to incentivize job creation, internships, membership into social security like Provident Fund, etc., are increasing the enrollment and tracking of formal jobs. Though fact is, in India has a lot of informal jobs. That's what it is. India is all about. Now, in another way of looking at trends in sector, etc., this is somewhat seasonal and somewhat cyclical. As of now, it appears that a lot of studies and reports are saying that we may not be growing in some BPO, retail, IT, ES, etc., some areas. But we are also growing in infrastructure, we are growing in some other FMCG and a few other sectors. So it will be always a mixed trend. A few sectors will grow, a few sectors will not grow. But on the whole, jobs follow the GDP growth. And the country is growing, so I'm sure there'll be jobs growth. But we must say that in our situation, there is actually a job crisis. There's no point in gloating over some data and statistics. First of all, our employment data is not as firm and as reliable as it should be, and it's not been historically so. So unemployment per se may not be the issue of discussion. What needs to be discussed is that, are we creating enough jobs for all? Are we making everyone employable? And are we giving equal access to everyone to access the jobs that already exist? These are three different problems. There may be far few jobs than we need. And even if we have a few jobs, there are a lot of needy people who may not have an access to it because they're in rural towns, or they are not skilled enough, or they don't even know that this job has come in, or they're excluded because jobs are all concentrated to the elite and the English-speaking youth in the big cities. So this may not be a problem of not having jobs. This is a problem of not having an equal access to jobs. And the third is that there may be jobs, there may be people may be skilled, and they may not be still employable. So, because the skilling is not effective. Sure. So these are some of the trends that we should be more mindful about.
If we talk about the jobs and all, so what do you think, how many jobs India needs to create every year to deal with the job crisis and all? Recently, Chief Economic Advisor Ananta Nageswaran estimates that the country needs to create roughly around 80 lakh jobs per year. So what's your take on the numbers basically?
It's very difficult to put an exact number, but I think that number between 80 to 90 lakh is what one is hearing. And so that's why I think somehow, even as we are all fascinated by figuring out the numbers issue, I think in India, the numbers will make a difference if you have reached a level of maturity and penetration, where a small percentage of increase or decrease will make a lot of difference. But we are far behind the need. If India needs 80 lakh jobs, we maybe are creating only 10 lakh jobs. And so if that is the thing, I think we should look at more qualitative aspects of the employment crisis, the job crisis, instead of numbers, because it's a matter of almost, unfortunately, a lot of speculation as to what the numbers are. So yeah, I think Mr. Nageswaran is right. I think we are in that same ballpark, 80, 90 lakhs jobs.
So if we talk about the future job roles, what's your take on the future of work will look like in coming years, given the rapid advancements in the AI and the machine learning, digital technology, both globally and India, how the things are going to change in coming years?
A lot of change as in the whole world. India is not likely to stay behind the AI ML race. If any, we may be leapfrogging into it. And there are many sectors, many government itself has got a huge focus here in Telangana. The local government wants Hyderabad to be the AI capital of India. And so there's a lot of focus on AI. And with AI and ML and all the new generative AI and all the technologies, robotics and various other technologies, jobs will change in many ways. Two big ways. One is how jobs are done or how people use technology to enhance productivity and do jobs with assisted. A surgeon can be assisted by a robot. A farmer can be assisted by a drone. A journalist can be assisted by a nice Zoom system. So every profession has now technology to serve to enhance productivity, to improve access, to improve efficiency. At the same time, technologies can also kill jobs.
Yes.
And they can also, if they are indiscriminately used and used in places where they are not required, it's also possible that we will not increase the total number of jobs and maybe decrease. The other impact of technology is that in the short run, so there is reasonable kind of estimation, and it has often proved true that whenever technology shifts, like when in 40s, 50s, computers came, 60s, there was a speculation that jobs will go, but jobs increase. Like that, jobs may increase due to technology over a period of time. But we should be worried about what will happen immediately. What will happen immediately is that 2-3 big forces will impact us. On the one side, there will be a pressure for upskilling and reskilling. And not everybody can cope with that pressure. Not everybody will have the opportunity to reskill and upskill. And therefore, those people who can't will lose jobs and can't stay relevant. The second is the sheer, like, for example, if robots can do many things that people do, then obviously companies, there are already companies, automobile companies, for example. I was talking to a factory manager of a large automobile company in India, and he says, now, when I do what I used to traditionally call manpower planning, which is how many people will I hire next year? These days, I do a robot power planning in the sense that I also think how many robots will I hire next year? So it's already happening. It's not somewhere else. So for every robot he hires, he may not be hiring 2 more people or 3 people. We don't know how many. So the point is that definitely in India, the impact of technology will be both. It will enhance productivity, but it will also kill jobs in the short run and create a whole lot of, it will aggravate our employment problem. So my thought always has been that we should be very discriminate and circumspect about use of technology. And we should welcome technologies that enhance productivity, but we should certainly be careful about technologies that kill jobs. So my favorite example is the fancy around driverless cars. So I always ask this question that unless somebody has to go to a very hazardous place, why should the car not have a driver in India? Where what will we do if there are driverless cars? So many million people could get jobs as drivers. And what's the point in killing all those? What employment will we give them in the short run? Yeah, theoretically, it is possible to imagine that all of them will be skilled and they will run AI centers on cars on the road. But that's not going to happen immediately. So I guess there will be impact. And that impact has to be carefully managed.
So post-COVID era, things has changed drastically in terms of technology, and the work conditions has also changed. So just wanted to understand from you that how things are different in India from the developed nations, how they people work and what things are happening here. So because there are 4-day work culture, there used to be a hybrid mode kind of working. So what's the current scenario as compared to rest of the world?
Yeah. No, it's a important thing to sort of constantly, because we want to be among the global front runners, and we rightly so, we are poised for that. So we need to understand global trends. So let me tell you, during COVID, the whole world, including India, first-hand experience the feasibility of remote work as a viable alternative to in-person office-based work. And it was not, there is no need to further research. People saw it and people experienced it, and all over the world. But depending on the infrastructure, relative maturity of organizations, internet infrastructure, access and of wireless or fiber, etc., in the country, the jobs, the adoption of remote work and hybrid work in India has been relatively lower than it is in the Western countries. And I would largely attribute it to mostly in Europe and America, largely because they are advanced countries. And they have had already practices of remote work. In IBM, for example, started it in 60s. So not now. In 1960s itself, people worked from home in IBM. And so it is just a sign of, when did we start things. In India, we are just beginning to even go to offices. There are a lot of people who don't have, go any place to go to work. So we are at a different stage of our development. So the natural distribution of adoption has been different. Having said that, the trend is clear. The writing on the wall is clear. The writing on the wall is all jobs and many jobs nowadays lend to remote work. All jobs that can be done remotely, employees will definitely prefer it to be done remotely. And that trend is there. For example, I know, again, I can't because there are no reliable surveys, but I know a few lakhs of people now already are working remotely in our major IT and other white-collar jobs, who after COVID have not come back to the cities. They had gone away to the small towns, and they continue to remain in the small towns, and companies are doing their best to bring them back, but they are not able to come back. So there is a return to office mandate, but there is also a parallel force which is saying we won't come to the big cities. I have interviewed it for my book. I have interviewed a large number of people who have told me that if you have to pay me 2 times more to come back to Bangalore, why would I come to Bangalore if in my small town in Berhampur or some such place, I can lead a decent life? Why would I struggle for 2 hours in traffic in Bangalore to go to office? So the issue is remote work is here to stay. People have understood its value. And both employers also have understood its value. It's not that they do not know. So it's nowadays very common for employers to say, okay, not around, let's get into a Zoom call. Or it's very common nowadays. It's not necessary. Earlier, everybody had to meet everybody. That has gone down a lot. And if nothing, WhatsApp video calls are substituting a lot of things. So this trend, this technology-enabled work will remain even in India. In fact, India, according to me, has an opportunity to leapfrog. We should use it at scale, because bringing all India's small town people into big cities is disastrous for both sides. So now trends, let's talk about trends. So with the adoption of remote work and with the evolution of work and human relationship, people's relationship with work, let's say, the ability to balance work with leisure and non-work activities, the Western countries have chosen paths that are different from India at this time. So by the way, 4-day work is not at any scale. They are still small experiments, even in Western countries. A few companies in London and a few companies in Japan did, 4-day work. The news is that they have found it as productive as 5-day work.
Hmm.
So the research is showing that 4-day work is not less productive than 5-day work, because it is not the hours of work that brings productivity. It's it's the combination of diligence and productive work habits and technology and smart ways of working. So anyway, so there is because of the relative growth and maturity and social security and all that, education, Western attitudes towards work are more like, how do we balance work with life? How do we
Hmm.
have more leisure? How do we have more vacations? And how do you enjoy life? And that's a function of the economic state in which they are in. So, for example, in a Western country, many Western countries now have Western, and even Australia recently have a law called right to disconnect, which
Hmm.
means that you can't call anybody after office hours or expect anybody to respond on a mail after 6:30 or 7 or whatever is your office hours. Now these things will take some time to come to India.
Okay.
We are in a different world. Our leaders are calling for 70 hours work. We have a very different situation. We believe that a
Hmm.
lot of hard work and slogging will kind of help us grow. I don't deny that we need to work hard, but I think just sheer gross hard work, slavery type of hard work, is not what India needs to have. We should also learn again, leapfrog is the word. We don't have to wait for the Western cycle to be
Hmm.
repeated in India. We need to learn the advantages of technology enabled work and combine it with smart ways of work so that we can also
Hmm.
move faster. We cannot have a burnout nation. So yes, we should grow, but more smartly. In that process, I think the heart is India needs to have flexible work options. So it is
Hmm.
not about remote work or hybrid work. It is about whether I can work at the time and space that I want to work. And can that be so orchestrated that everybody can do that? And yet we will be coordinated and work better. Can
Hmm.
organizations be, suppose I have to, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I have to go out for half an hour to drop my child to a school. Would it be really so difficult for the organization to not allow it? Will really something collapse if I really went out for half an hour? I may perhaps stay back for 1 hour more and do whatever I wanted to do. Flexibility is about that. Flexibility is about recognizing that there is nothing hard and fast about, prison like time hours. It's okay for people to breathe free and work in their natural times, etc. So that's the attitude. We should start with that so that our future joins the more evolved futures of the other parts of the world. Yeah.
So, sir, everyone wants to be a friend of a trend. So, how do you see the job role and the pace that trend has changed in every decade? So, how do you see this trend evolving? And I'm talking about the ML and the digital things and all, and the hybrid working. So, which sector do you think will be the biggest source of job opportunities in coming years, decades?
So most all sectors that grow, and all sectors will grow, all sectors will create job, but services sectors will
Hmm.
always create more jobs than manufacturing sectors. Although we are putting a lot of bet on manufacturing, fact is that manufacturing is nowadays less labor intensive. It's more machine dependent, and it's
Sure.
very easy to, in the industry 4.0, 5.0 framework as they call it, robotics and various kinds of automation is possible to reduce the requirement of people in factories and manufacturing, but in services, in retail, in healthcare, in education, in buildings, in roads, in various tasks that we perform with hands and all that. There's a lot of work that can be created, and a lot of jobs will get created in alternative sectors. So it's very difficult to put, and that will be also for some time. Like we may suddenly feel now the IT sector is slowing down a bit, but in
Hmm.
just some time again the IT sector will pick up.
Sure.
So that's how I think we should be open to all sectors. And one important thing you must understand is that technology is no more for the technology sector. So IT is not for IT. IT is created for also. Every work is integrated with IT.
Yes.
So if I teach, I need to, use AI ML for teaching. So everyone is doing that, and we will all do that. So there will be jobs everywhere. But to your former question, I want to say something. Everyone follows a trend. We cannot afford to do that.
Hmm.
We need to create trends and not follow them. And
Hmm.
in this vast, diverse country with dispersed and very different levels of educational skill preparations, if everybody gets obsessed with a trend, and which is happening, by the way, my direct experience in skill development and employment is very funnily, while some we are crying that there are no jobs, there is here rural youth which does not want to do anything but an IT job.
True.
Now, that doesn't mean there are no jobs. It's a
Hmm.
different problem. We think
Yes.
there are no jobs, but there are jobs. It's a choice problem.
Hmm.
And a young person may say, I would rather live life like a YouTuber. I just do a YouTube and make money out of it than join an office. So is it a employment problem? Is it a job problem? No, it's a changing preference problem. And this changing preference issue sometimes is good if it is guided by real opportunity, real skill, and a conscious choice. But
Hmm.
it is not going to be helpful if it's just a trend and we just jump onto the bandwagon. So everybody is in IT, so I have to be on IT. Whereas there are more jobs in food processing or pharma than in IT, for example, or construction. So I think we need to buck this tendency to go on to trends, and we should
Hmm.
make all jobs trendy. It should be we should reach a point where a plumber should say, I'm proud to be a plumber. And like, because without a plumbing, how will we live in this urban world?
Hmm.
How do we live with without electricians? But we
Yes.
are unable to create a world where electrician feels as good as an IT software engineer. Uh,
Hmm.
I think both the jobs are valuable. And this is a result of trends following. So I want to use this opportunity to call out to our youth that don't follow trend, follow occupations, follow jobs that are viable, sustainable, that give you a decent wage and help you grow.
Hmm. So in our country, a lot of things has been done to upgrade the skills of the people in the country. So do you think there have been any significant changes with all this, given that many reports suggest that the vocational training hasn't marked improvement in the job scenario and all? Additionally, how many people in India need reskilling and the upskilling according to you? So is there any data available or is there any change happening with this, sir?
Data, again, I would not go there because I think it's not a reliable. I mean, it's
Hmm.
not very easy to pinpoint exactly the data. It will be all different estimation.
Hmm.
But the size of the enormity of problem is very, very high. And let me first, in a slightly from a balcony view, as they say, let me tell you how I see the problem. I see this as I use the word plumber. So there is actually a plumbing problem. What's the plumbing problem here? There are four, paces through which this whole employment journey has to pass. Start point is education. Education, skills, employability, employment. Education should lead to skills. It does not in our country. Skills should make you employable. It does not. And employability should open paths of employment for you. It does not. The plumbing between the four sides, four places, has broken. We need to re-establish the plumbing. How do we do that? Not at the cost of each one. For example, we don't have to sacrifice foundational education only to build skills, because skills need foundational education. But skills should supplement the foundational education. And that effort has the government done, but it's such a vast history that it takes some time to see. For example, the new education policy that we have, NEP, and or the whole skills missions across the country, they're all trying to complement education with skills. But we are yet to see full impact of it. It will take some time. In some places, there is success. Wherever there is industry sponsorship, there is success. And the reason why education is not leading to skills is that we have mentally separated the two. We should actually integrate the two. Then that's the conceptual direction. That's what society is trying to do. I mean, the country is also trying to do. The next thing is a person may be called skilled, but very important to understand is actually is he skilled. So the quality of training delivered and the quality of certification, which will guarantee that the person really is a skilled electrician or a skilled plumber or a skilled engineer or skilled accountant, is something that we have to keep improving on. And I think there are a lot of leakages there. There is more factory of certification than actual real acquisition of skill. Then comes, why doesn't skill lead to employability? It doesn't lead to employability because we are working back. We are working from trends to training, which means we are thinking that, oh, AI ML will be the future. So let us train a whole lot of people in AI ML. But if there are not enough AI ML jobs, then these people, even if they're trained, they can't do anything. Because maybe right now, there are a lot of companies who are still running on mainframes. They're still running on old technologies. And in the meanwhile, there's perhaps a lot of demand for Java also. But in the whole pursuit of AI ML, we have stopped training people on Java. And AI ML jobs are not coming in. And there is frustration all around. So training, if skill development doesn't follow the path of first define what the jobs are and define what skills they require, and then define what skills our people should have. If that linkage is directly not established between jobs requirement and skill development, this gap will continue, and that's what is happening. The plumbing is breaking there. Then the question of employable people may not get employment, and why that's happening. It's both sides. Employable people may have a lot of choices, and they may be rejecting jobs that they get and only expecting jobs that they want. And that's another challenge, and we need education. We need a... But the other thing about which my book is more concerned is level playing field. So what has happened is, if over time we have equated employment with big cities, all our Gurgaons and Mumbais and Hyderabad's are the places where there is a lot of employment. But the small towns, as I say, Adilabad, Motihari, we need jobs there. And we are not moving there. We bring people to jobs. We don't take jobs to people. Okay, and we need to do that. To do that, first of all, our city-centric, attitude towards job creation has to come down. We need to move away. Actually, big cities need a lot of decongesting. And it is in the interest of the nation that jobs go away from Bangalore to Mangalore or to other
smaller cities,
small cities, Belgaum and all that, Hubli and all that. So this is where the future is. A lot of talent is in those places. So this is where jobs should go. So if these four things happen, if you complement education with skills are relevant to make people employable, and employable people are given equal access to jobs through flexible work options and through remote work, etc., and not forced to travel to big cities, I think we will at least partially address the problem of employment. Anyway, it's a large problem. No one person has any silver bullet about it.
True. So hope these all problems will resolve soon in coming years. And thank you so much for taking out time for our interview. Thank you so much, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you.